Hello, how to make your own sourdough starter. We are going to together we are going to make sourdough starter that you can use to make sourdough bread and sourdough pizza. Let's get started. First, you will need flour and you will need water. So what do you need to make your own sourdough starter? You'll need flour, wheat flour, and you will need water. What kind of flour do you need to use to make your sourdough starter? You are going to use unbleached flour, or you can use all-purpose flour that is bleached, or you can use whole wheat flour. All three are okay, depending on what you have on hand. I have made a video in the past where I use all-purpose flour, bleached flour, to make sourdough starter. But this time we are going to use unbleached flour. So what kind of water do you need to make your own sourdough starter? You can use water from the tap if you can drink it. You can use filtered water if your fridge fills water. You can use that. Or you can also purchase a gallon of water to have on hand. So how much flour do you need to have on hand to make your sourdough starter? I will say 10 pounds, about 10 pounds should be enough. You won't use all 10 pounds. This one is 5 pounds, but I think by the time the starter is ready, I will use about 1.5 of this, like 1.5. So how long is going to take you to make your sourdough starter? How long is going to take for the sourdough starter to be ready for you to start using it in your baking? Well, it could take 14 days. If you are in a warm weather or you are doing it during a warm season, it will take you less. If you are doing it in a cold season or you live in a cold area, it might take longer. But last time that I did it, when I used bleached flour, it took me 14 days. So I'm going to go with 14 days in average. Just keep an eye on your starter. When it double in sizes, it is done. That's what you'll go with. So you can have 14 days more or less in mind, but when your starter double in sizes, it is ready. You are done with it. So what are you going to use as a container for your sourdough starter? I like to use quart jar. If you have it on hand, you can just repurpose it and use it. You could also use a glass bowl if you use glasses. I will say 7-cup size will work great as well. If you do not have 7 cups, this one is 4 cups. Let me see if I find the lid here. 4-cup glass bowl will work, but it will be just the same size as a quart jar, so it should be able to work for you as well. I just like the quart jar because I can see when it doubles in size. but any glass jar, any glass bowl you have will work. If you have glass containers, you should be able to use it as well. Anything you have in your kitchen that you store your food in, you should be able to use it. So what are the ingredients, quantity that you need for your sourdough starter? I'm going to get a spoon here that we are going to use. And there is something else that we need to have. It's 1 cup and half cup. Those are the sizes we are going to work with. You need 1 cup of flour, half cup of water every single day until your starter is ready. You start with 1 cup of 1 cup of flour, half cups of water, and then you fill it the same way. 1 cup of flour, half cup of water. So we have our glass jar, but before we start, let me wash my hand. So make sure you wash your jars. And I already washed the one we are going to use. And we have our dishcloths that we sell at ninassoap.com. So the glass jar is washed. I'm going to start with water. The reason why it's good to put the water first is going to allow you to mix the dough easily, and we are going to use tap water. So with my half cup, I'm just going to get cold water. It doesn't have to be warm or anything, or too cold or anything. So we have our half cup of water. Now we need our 1 cup of flour. And the reason of the measurement of 1 cup of flour is so that you can keep your culture on a small size. That way you are not wasting too much flour. So that's the first day. That's just when you just start. That's day 1. So I'm just going to gently scoop the flour. You don't need to measure it, but you just want 1 cup, and you can use a knife and just scrape the top off. So I have my 1 cup, and you can just see that, it's now fully, and I didn't pack it either. So let me take this spoon out of the way, and I'm going to transfer it to the cup here, to the jar. So we have our mixture, half cup water, 1 cup flour, and we mix it together. and just make sure you have all your flour in, and you'll see how it's all mixed. And it's because I started with the water first. We can just scrape the edge in a little bit, and we are done. So with the glass, you'll be able to see about where it is. And when it double in sizes, it should be somewhere, you know, up enough for you to see. So once you mix it together, put a lid on it. You don't need to close it tight or anything, just put a lid on it so that you do not have any bug going in. It's very important. And to make it even more that you don't have any flour going in, you can put a towel on top of it. So I have our napkins here. We sell them at ninassoap.com as well for the kids to take to school. Our lunch napkins or any dish towel you have, you can just put it on it so that, you know, you keep flies away from it, and just leave it on the counter. So where I like to leave mine, so that is out of the way when people, you know, are using the counter. If you have a high traffic counter, you just want to push it to the far back, or you can just leave it where people are not going to bother, you know, what you are doing. So I can just leave mine there. So day one, when you mix it, you leave it for 24 hours. For 24 hours. So that means the next day we will take it. So right now I'm working on it at 5:24 in the morning. So that means tomorrow around the same time, it don't have to be precise. I just know that tomorrow morning I will need to feed it. So let's say it is day 2 now. We have it sitting here for the whole day 1 and day 2. What do we need to do? So let's get our starter. So day 2, you'll take your starter, you take your second jar, and let's make sure it's clean, wash. You get your clean spoon, you have your flour, your water. So you'll take your starter and you'll just eyeball it and take half. So what you will do first is you will mix it. And just scoop half. You know, just eyeball it. If you want to be precise, scoop it to your half cup. You just want to keep half. And I think it's good enough. So you scoop your half and you put it in a clean jar. To this half, let's go to our water and add water to it. We add our half cup water to our half cup starter day 1. On our day 2. Now we are going to add 1 cup of flour to it. So that's how you are going to feed your starter that you are trying to make. So we are going to measure half cup of flour, and I'm just going to scrape the excess. I think I'm going to clean up my flour, and we add our flour to it, and we will mix it together. Now that we are done, we use the clean lid, we cover it, we put our trusty towel on it, and we go put it on our kitchen counter where curious babies will bother it. And that is day 2. So every single day, like or after 24 hours, you take your quart, you take your starter. So on day 3, you take your starter, you stir it, you clean a jar, you take half of it to fill your half cup, and you dump it in the clean jar. You add half cup of water to it, and you add 1 cup of flour to it. You mix it together, you close it, you put your towel on it, you put it away, and that's day 3. Day 4, you take it again, you have a clean jar, you take half of your starter that you are working on, you put that half in a half cup, measurement cup to make sure that's half, you transfer it to your clean jar, you add half cup of water to that half cup of starter, you add 1 cup of flour to it, you mix it together, you close it, you put it away. So you just keep repeating that. But what you will do is, when you take it out before you stir it, take a look at it to see if it's increasing in sizes. If like before you put it away, take a look at it to see where it is for the container you are using. And then later, 24 hours later, when you take a look at it to see if it move up a little bit, because day after day some gases will build in it, and that gases will make it rise little by little. By day 14, it should be able to rise enough to double in size from how it was when you put it away, for that day between day 13 and 14. Then like when you mix it, you put it away, and you take it from how it was to how you'll find it, it should double in size. And at that point, you know that if you use it to mix with another flour, it will be able to rise that flour for you. Should be able to ferment that flour for you. So 1 cup of flour, half cup of water, it is a good quantity to ferment a bread dough and pizza dough. And I use that quantity to ferment 6 cups of flour when I'm making bread or I'm making pizza. So, and it is small enough that you are not going to go through a lot of flour to feed it. So now let's put this one on the side. What do you do with what you take out? So let's continue. So day 14, or the day that it double in size, you will stir it. You will take that half cup, you will put it in a clean jar, you add half cup of water, you add 1 cup of flour, you stir it well, you close it, you put it so that it can rise. So the one you took out that day, you can use it to make pizza, you can use it to make sourdough bread, either way. So but let's first talk about day 1 to day 13, the one you have been taking out. So let's come back to this station here. You notice that after day 1, when we are doing this experimentation, we took half that we fed and put it away for on day 2, right? So what do we do with the discarded mixture? I would suggest you toss it. Based on USDA or FDA, whichever administration we have here that regulate food safety, which I think it should be USDA, but I'm not 100% sure. Leaving food at room temperature for over 2 hours may not be healthy for us. So since it is not fermented yet for the natural culture we are looking for to be abundant in the mixture, I will suggest after 24 hours, when you feed half cup of your culture, the remaining, don't use it, just put it in the trash. If you have a garden, you can feed your land with it as well. So you will just scrape it out and you just put it in the trash and wash your glass and let it air dry so that you can reuse it the next day when you are going to feed your culture. So, but after day 14 or after your culture double in size, you are not going to waste flour from that point. At least if you shouldn't. So when it double in sizes, you can now feed your culture half cup of your culture, and the other half that you have been throwing away after it double in size, you are not going to throw it away. You are going to make sourdough bread or sourdough pizza with it. So let's put this flour on the side and work on that next step. So I'm going to close this one. And I'm going to keep it in the bag so that it does not pour flour on the shelf where I will store it. So what do you do with your culture after it double in size? So let's, when you are feeding it until it double in size, what do you do with it? Don't know if you'll be able to see. But when it double in size, how do you store your sourdough starter so that you do not feed it every day? Or do you need to feed your sourdough starter every day? No, you do not need to feed your sourdough starter every day. If you are not a stay-home mom and you do not bake bread or pizza every day, you don't need to feed your sourdough starter every day. These I fed it last night, and at this point, if I'm not going to use it, I will put it in the fridge. So let me show you that step before I do anything to it. Remove this chair. So this morning, if I'm not going to use it, after feeding it last night, I will just take it from the counter and I'll just put it on in the fridge. And I just like to leave it there. And today is Sunday, so that means Friday evening when I'm cooking dinner, that's when I will take it out. And then I will take half that I will feed, leave it on the counter, and the other half I will mix flour for sourdough pizza that I will make on Saturday. So it will take overnight to rise for me. And I will have my mixture that I fed on the counter overnight. So Saturday evening, that's 24 hours, I will feed it again, and then I will take half. I will feed half, and then I'll take the rest to mix with flour again for sourdough pizza that I'll make on Sunday noon, and then I'll have my culture on the counter. Sunday morning, if I'm not going to use the remaining, I'm not going to feed it. I'll just put it in the fridge. Don't know if it makes sense. If I'm not going to use the remaining, I'm not going to take half to feed. I'll just put it in the fridge until Friday. So I bake in the weekend. I bake during the weekend. That's when I'll take it out and use it. And even though it stay in the fridge all week, I don't need to take it out days in advance and start feeding it until Friday evening. I don't have to. It will just take a little bit longer to rise wherever I want it to rise. So I will take it out Friday evening when I'm ready to mix my dough for pizza. And that dough will stay on the counter overnight until morning and should be able to rise for me. But we are going to use it, so let's take it out. So because I'm going to use it, I'm going to feed it. When I feed it, I'll leave it here until evening, and then I'll put it in the fridge. I'm not going to wait until tomorrow morning. I'll leave it here until evening. It should be able to double by then. And the reason why I like to let it rise here before I put it away, I want that to double to consume that flour. Because when I take it, when I feed it and then I put it in the fridge and I take it out Friday, it might be too hard. It may not ferment that flour well for me to use it. Therefore, I like to leave it to rise before I put it in the fridge. That's pretty much what it is. So now we discuss it if you need to feed it every day or not. So that's after you have your starter. Now when you are making your starter, you have to feed it every single day until it double in sizes. And after that, it will become this, and you'll be able to put it in the fridge and only feed it when you are going to use it. If you are not going to use it weekly, let's say you are going to use it every 2 weeks, that's okay. But if you go 3 weeks without feeding it or without using it, it's better you take it out after 2 weeks. Take half cup, put it in another container, add 1 cup of flour, half cup of water, mix it together, leave it on the counter to rise, and put it back in the fridge for another 2 weeks. Does that make sense? Or until you are ready to use it. So if you go 3 weeks, 4 weeks without making anything with the sourdough starter, try to feed it. The remaining that will remain after you take a half cup out to feed, just toss it, because you are not going to make anything. Toss it. But if you are going to use it every week, that remaining you are going to use it to bake. So that's what we are going to do. So I took it out yesterday. I took it out Friday, and we make sourdough pizza. Last night I fed it again, and that's what we have there. When I took a half cup and I fed that half cup, we have the remaining. I mix it to have sourdough pizza rising there. So now we are going to make sourdough bread for tonight. Therefore, I'm going to feed it, and what remains, I'm going to use that to make sourdough bread. One thing I could have done as well is, and I'll do that, is I'll put this in the fridge, and then I will take about half cup out of this one that is rising. I'll put it on the side, and then I will use the rest for my pizza, and then I will use it to mix another dough for sourdough bread. So we are going to go through all that, but first let's feed this one that is already double in size. And I have this sourdough starter since 2015. In 2020, when I made a sourdough starter using bleached flour, after it rose a double in size, I bake with it, and then the remaining I just mix it with this so that I don't have two culture to feed. I just mix it with this, and I have it. So now that it has been sitting here and rose inside in a doubles, let's feed it. So another jar you could use as well is cookie jar, and I like to use cookie jar. And in fact, let's work in an order that I like to do that. First, I'm going to move this out of here so that I can use this bowl. When you are making sourdough pizza, it's good to oil your pans. We use peanut oil. I have some flour on the floor here, so let me clean it up first, and then we can continue. If I didn't want to feed that culture, with clean hand, I'm not touching oil. With clean hand, I'll just take some of this that is rising here. I'll try to mix a little bit, and then I'll just eyeball half cup. And I just like to leave it on the side so that when I wash this bowl, I can use it. So that's what I do. But we are going to just take, we are going to feed half of this and take the remaining to make the sourdough bread. The sourdough pizza does not have anything other than water and flour. That's why it's easy for me to just use it for the next batch that I'm going to bake this evening for bread, and just put this like this in the fridge. That way I won't have to feed it again. I fed it Saturday evening. When I took it out on Friday evening, I fed it on Friday evening, and I fed it again on Saturday evening. So frankly, I don't need to feed it again, but since we are making sourdough starter, I'll feed it so that you know how to feed your starter after it double in sizes. So that's why we are going to feed it. So I'm going to oil my pan, and now that I have dough on my finger, it's going to be a challenge spreading the dough. But very quickly, I'll just make sure I have my oil in my pan. So I'll hold my hand and I'll just spread the dough. In case you are wondering how to make sourdough pizza, like the measurements, I make a big batch of pizza. So I will take a half cup of the sourdough starter, and I will fill it with half cup of water and 1 cup of flour, and put it on the side, or put it aside. The remaining sourdough starter, I will transfer it to my bowl. I will add 2 cups of water and 6 cups of flour, and I will mix it together, close it, and let it rise overnight, or for 12 hours. And that's what this is. So I will let it rise again. It's now 5:53 in the morning. I'll let it rise until I'm ready to bake it for lunch, and I'll bake it 350 Fahrenheit for 40 minutes, and I'll take it out. I'll put tomato sauce or pizza sauce. I'll put the cheese, I'll put the meat, and I'll put it back in the oven for 350 Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. And I'll take it out and I'll slice it and I will serve. I use the same recipe for the sourdough bread, but I add sugar to it. If you want to make small size bread, you just divide you use the same amount of starter, you just divide the flour and the water by 2. So 6 cups of flour, you will use 3 cups of flour. 2 cups of water, you will use 1 cup of water. And just adjust because you are not measuring the flour. Some days you might scoop more than necessary, some days you might scoop less. So it will affect when you are mixing the dough sometimes might be sticky, sometimes might be too dry. So you just add a little bit of water when it's dry. When it's too sticky, you just leave it alone. You don't need to add flour. But when it's too dry, you can add some water. Sometimes I add a little water, sometimes I don't. When it's on the sticky side, it will rise faster. When it's on the dry side, it won't rise faster. Just something to keep in mind. But it is easier to spread because it's not going to stick to your hand when it's on the dry side. And this dough was on the dry side when I mix it together. I'm going to wash my hand here. If you have some large pan you can use to cover your cast irons, you can use them. Sometimes I use my glass plates for some of them as well, but I'm not going to do that. You know, you can, it's not going to touch it, but it's a little bit risky to do that. So what is easier to do though, this one has a lid. You could use the lid for that, or you could use another plate for it. But you could, this is a lid for this one, but if they could stack together, and I can just put something like that if I'm going to have them on the counter. But it's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to put them in a cold oven because they need to rise. That's if you are making thick crust. If you want to make thin crust, The dough can stay in the bowl until you are ready to bake, and you can just spread it and put it in the oven and turn your oven on. That'll be thin crust. So I'm just going to put mine in the cold oven. And it will stay there for hours until I'm ready to bake them. And to bake them, I don't need to preheat the oven. I'll just turn the oven on while they are there and turn it and set it for 40 minutes. So let's wash our bowl so that we can feed our double in size sourdough culture, our sourdough starter, and use the discard to make sourdough bread. And if you are looking for natural reusable dishcloth that are machine washable to replace sponges, you can find them at ninassoap.com. You can use them on your glasses, you can use them on your pens, and to hand wash dishes and pans. Okay, so now we have our sourdough starter. That is sourdough starter. It's called sourdough starter because you can use it to bake sourdough pizza, to bake sourdough bread. So it is your culture. You don't need yeast. You just need sourdough starter. It does save you money to have your sourdough starter because you don't need yeast. You just need a starter to bake your fermented goodies or goodies that need rising. So you can measure it. I don't. What I like to do is I don't start with what I'm going to feed unless I'm going to change the jar, and I changed the jar yesterday. So if I'm not going to change the jar, I'll just scoop, keeping an eye on what I'm leaving in here. That to be half. So first you mix it together. So how do you feed your sourdough starter? Mix it together. Scoop a half cup. And what I like to go with is half of the mixture. I like to bake with half of the mixture and feed the other half. I don't measure every time I'm going to feed it. I just take half out and keep half in the jar. And if I'm going to change jar, I'll just I'll stir it, transfer half to the new jar and put the other half in my bowl. You don't need to measure it every time. And it's good to change the jar weekly or every 2 weeks so that it just doesn't dry at the edge too much, that when you want to clean it, it's not easy to clean. I was not sure I will feed it today, so I changed the jar yesterday. So technically when I'm feeding it today, I'll just leave half here, scoop half to the bowl, and this half I'll just add my half cup of water and 1 cup of flour to it, stir it and let it rise, and then I'll put it in the fridge. So that one I need to add water to it so that it's softened up. So now what we are going to do is we are going to this half of that starter, we are going to add half cup of water. And I just use tap water. That's what I used yesterday. So that's what I'm going to use. That's what I use on my culture. If you can drink your tap water, you can make sourdough starter with it. If it has too much bleach in it, then you can just use filtered water, whichever works for you. The reason is not really so much of the heavy metal in the water, is more about the bleach, because you don't want to, you are trying to develop natural culture in the flour. So they are in the flour, you are just trying to bring them to multiply. So I'm going to use 1 cup and I'm just going to eyeball it. So 1 cup, you saw me put half cup of water in on our sourdough starter. I'm going to add 1 cup of flour to it. And I don't know where I have my spoon. My spoon is here. And I'm just going to stir it. and it's done. I'll just scrape the edge in well enough. I'm going to wash that lid, and I'll just put another lid on it. Let's make sure we don't have. So that's how you feed your sourdough starter. And I feed mine weekly, not daily, because I do not bake daily. It'll just stay there until the evening, or when I notice that it double in size, and then I'll put it in the fridge for Friday. So now, how do you make sourdough bread? We have half of our sourdough starter here. We will add 2 cups of water to it. But because I don't have a lot of those measurement cups on hand, I'm going to use 4 of these. That is a half cup. I'm going to use 4 of it. So that will be 2 cups of water. One, 2, 3, 4, and again is 2 cups of water. Now we are going to add sugar, because I'm making bread and I want that to be on the sweet side. So let me go get the sugar. If I can clean up my hand here. I'm going to use 3/4 cup of sugar. You can use 1 cup, you can use half cup, whichever works for you. I'm just going to use 3/4 cups. So to our sourdough starter, 2 cups of water, 3/4 cups of sugar. I'm going to add 6 cups of flour. So 2 cups of water, 6 cups of flour with sourdough starter that you discarded. You mix it together and you let it rise for 24 hours or 12 hours, and you have a dough to bake pizza or to bake bread. But I want my bread to be on the sweet side, so I add 3/4 cup of sugar to it. But I use the same recipe quantity for pizza and bread. The difference is, for the bread I add sugar. For the pizza I don't season it. No salt, no sugar. Just 2 cups of water, 4 cups of flour, and my discarded sourdough starter after I fed half of the starter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me wash my hand here so that we can mix it. So now that we have all those mixture together, sourdough starter, water, sugar, and flour, you just put your hand in it and you mix it together. Having your sourdough starter saves you money for not buying yeast and help you bake healthy pizza and healthy bread, because the sourdough culture tend to eat some of the gluten in the flour. You can use unbleached flour, you can use bleached flour, you can use all-purpose flour, whichever you want to use. All-purpose flour will be healthier, but if you don't have it on hand or you don't like to use, I'm talking about not all-purpose flour, but whole wheat flour will be healthier, or is healthier. But if you don't like to use whole wheat flour or you don't have it on hand, unbleached flour works, and bleached flour, all-purpose flour, works as well. And right now I will say that this dough is on the dry side. That's what I call being on the dry side, because I didn't measure the flour properly, and we are in cold season. I'm dumping things here, therefore the air is dry, so your things will be on the dry side if you use more flour than water. So you can just use a few tablespoons of water to add to it. If you have flour left at the bottom, you can do that, but I don't have any flour at the bottom, therefore I'm not going to add water to it. It's just good like this for me. And you don't need to knead your dough, you just need to mix everything together until you have a ball of dough, and at this point it's done. And in the afternoon I will just divide the dough in two and gently knead it. By kneading, I'm just talking about folding the edge to the middle, punch it in, fold the edge to the middle, punch it in 2, 3 times, 4 times, just turn it into a ball and just put it in the pan to rise for a few minutes, and then I will bake it. So we have videos on how to make sourdough bread. So this one is not really how to make sourdough bread or sourdough pizza, but it's more how to use your starter. Therefore, I'm not going to go in detail on how to bake the bread, but just what you'll do with your starter and whether or not you will feed it daily, or what you'll do with the discarded sourdough starter. So that's what this video is about. So now that it's done, let me rinse the back of this lid. I will just close it, and we will just move it to the side, and I will just continue rising here for us. And in fact, what I like to do you see these things that we have here? Since we are baking and we just made this discarded, I'm just going to add it to it so that we don't waste it. Since my dough is on the dry side, that will provide some liquid to it too. I just need to wash my hand. But thank you so much for watching. You know, having your own sourdough starter, anytime you wanted to bake pizza or bake sourdough bread, you will be able to do it. In 2000, I have my starter since 2015 when I started looking into natural products that we can use, we can make and use, and I make my sourdough starter. I made it with whole wheat. But in 2020, one of my husband's co-workers complained to him that that he's looking for yeast to make sourdough, to bake bread or pizza or something like that, and the store was out of yeast. And my husband explained to him that I bake my own bread and pizza and we don't use yeast, we use sourdough. And he asked for the recipe. So I told my husband that we have the recipe on our website. But then after thinking about it, I said to him that, well, he cannot make sourdough bread without sourdough starter. So I wanted to show how to make sourdough starter, because I thought if he couldn't find yeast, more people might not find yeast either to bake their own bread and pizza. So I asked for the flour and we couldn't find unbleached flour. That's why I use, but in 2020 the store didn't carry much on hand, so I switched to all-purpose flour. So I tried to make sourdough starter with bleached all-purpose flour to see if that would work. If that's what we have, and we need to make sourdough starter so that we can bake our own goodies. And that's when I make how to make sourdough starter using all-purpose flour video, and I recorded all the steps, all the days until it doubled in sizes. And that last day I used the discarded sourdough starter to bake. So those videos are on our channel, and I'll put a playlist in the description of this video. If you want to use bleach all-purpose flour, you can watch those videos. But the process is the same. The measurement is the same. So for the flour and the water, that's just the same. And the process is the same. So you can use any flour that works for you. If you have whole wheat flour, you can use it as well. So, and yeah, with all-purpose flour, bleached flour, we made the sourdough starter. So having your own sourdough starter, if you don't have yeast, you can still bake. So it saves you money and it's healthier while you make yourself, because you can control the ingredients you are putting on in your own food by making it yourself. It does not save you time, but it can be healthier and it could save you money. So on our channel we share different ways you can save money and different ways you can make money by investing the money you save in your own business, in the stock market, in real estate, but pretty much different ways you can save money, your hard-earned money, and different ways you can make money so that you reach your financial goals, your financial independence, where you do not depend on income from your job to put food on the table for your family. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Afiavi Liberman, creators of Liberman Consulting L.L.C YouTube channel, ninasoap.com, our blog. We do have free downloads on our blog. You can check it out to see if there is something there that could help you in your personal finances or in your business. And you don't need to submit an email address to access our free download and download what you found useful there. Although we will be happy if you join our email list, but it's not a requirement to download any free downloads from our blog, ninasoap.com. We do have our towers at ninasoap.com, where we sell our natural products. If there is a natural reusable product that you are looking for that we are selling there, you'll be able to find it there. Thank you so much, you all that subscribe to our channel. We thank you very much, you all that comment and commented on our channel. We thank you very much, you all that watch our videos. Thank you for your time. Oh, by the way, I like to say that the unbleached flour went up. It used to be $1.22 for the 5-pound bag. Now it costs more than $3, I think. So I don't know how much the bleached flour costs now, but now we can find the unbleached flour in store, and that's what I've been baking with. I've been buying it every month to stock up, and that's what I bake with. And the price went up, so price at the grocery store went up for a lot of things. So if that is you can save on, well, that's few dollars you can spend on something you have to buy, you know. So thank you so much for your time.